All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host for today, Josh Deming. And we are here for the morning after stream to take a look at Canada's first ever victory in a major tournament in Copa America with a 1-0 win over Peru. There's also some transfer news to touch on if you guys didn't see that, with Ismail Kone going to Marseille. Very exciting, but I want to hear from you guys. It's the day after. You've had a night to reflect on what was an ugly match, but a match where we picked up 3 points and set ourselves up pretty nicely for a little date with Chile to hopefully make the quarterfinals. And then who knows who we're going to get matched up with there after that. So if you're just joining us in the stream, say hello and give me your guys' takeaways from the match yesterday. And we're just going to have a nice little chat today for about an hour. I think it's worth celebrating. I know there's still work to do. I mean, if we lose to Chile, we are out and it was all for naught. But I don't know. I just wanted to get over that major tournament hump. And knowing that we lost 3 matches at the World Cup, it feels pretty damn good to win this one against Peru. So get your comments in. Let me know how you guys are feeling today, and we will get into it. Let's go. Nova Scotia stands up with Shaff. Yeah, we'll touch on potential starting 11s as well for the Chile match. It was hot, man. I've been hearing a few stories coming out from the players and what it was actually like to be in Kansas City. It was incredibly hot. 35 degrees, felt like 40 at times. Obviously, you guys saw the poor assistant referee who, had something to do with a heat stroke or something like that. It's going to be pretty bad as well in Orlando. So I'm just wondering, like, we all had debate of how much will Jesse Marsch tamper with this team just simply because it's tournament football, let alone with the factor that it's almost 40-degree weather. Like, that's absolutely insane. The guys look gassed. Shinetti put out a story that right after the match, they went in ice bath and they were trying to, settle down a bit. They were exhausted and they looked tired. It was a very tired looking performance against Peru. I think if we didn't get that, they didn't get that red card, which should have been 2 red cards. I don't know if we would have pulled off the 3 points. I don't. We were horrible in the second half of the first half, and then starting the second half, it still looked like the legs were hurting a bit, and the red card obviously changed everything, and we were able to capitalize. So I don't know how it would have went without that red card, but these players' legs seem heavy, and that just I beg the question, will there be rotation? But if you're just joining us in the stream, guys, just drop a quick W in the chat for yesterday. It's there's still a lot of work to do. But it's a damn good feeling, man. It was a damn good feeling yesterday to capitalize on that. I know we were playing up a man. I know that it wasn't a pretty performance. But I will go back and saying, man, Jesse Marsch has not been in the gig for very long. He's had a lot of work to do in a very short amount of time. And you know what? He's the guy who got Canada's first win at a major tournament. Huge credit to him. And hopefully he can roll on against Chile. Phil says, can we mention Tanny coming on for Canada and truly being captained? Yeah, I don't think he had to even come on. I'm pretty sure the rules are as long as he was a part of a major tournament, he's automatically captained. I think that's the rule, but regardless, I will give a shout out to Tanny because I think it's very obvious with the 5 strikers that Canada have on this roster, David, Larin, Tanny, Jason Russell-Rowe, and Theo Bair, that the next man up is Tanny. He's had quite the rise. He's doing some really good stuff at Minnesota United, and I think the fact that he didn't even make that friendly camp, but then he just kept scoring goals, getting goal contributions with Minnesota, he caught the eye of Jesse Marsch. Jesse flew him in to be part of that camp, and then obviously put him out on this Copa America squad, and then put him the first striker coming off the bench. So for me, I think Tanny is definitely the next man up, and he almost scored a goal. Showed his speed, showed his strength. It's a shame because he was all alone in on goal. All he had to do was round the keeper. I don't know if he thought maybe be a tight angle, if Galesi could have cut him off. It wasn't like he was coming right at the keeper and he could round him. He was coming from a very awkward angle, so maybe that went into his mind, or he just got excited. He tried to put it between the keeper's 5-hole. Relatively solid save for Galesi, but yeah, let me know. Let me know if you think Tanny should start, and we're gonna get into the potential starting 11. That'll be fun to dissect, especially just knowing how tired and gassed some of these players will be. Tanny should start for Larin against Chile. I do want to give a ton of credit to Kyle Larin. Again, I've been hard on him and how I think that he will fit into Jesse's system, but you cannot whatsoever go against his work ethic. He works his bag off. And on top of that, he was a huge part of the reason that he started that goal, showing what he can do and what a number 9 should be able to do. Hold up the ball, lay it off. We'll talk about Jacob Shaffelburg a lot throughout this stream, I assume. But, I think Shaffelburg was just flawless. But that was the biggest feedback. So I actually, this is my next question for you guys. The biggest feedback I've seen from just chatting with you guys on YouTube as well as on X, where a lot of you guys have been great to interact with. Would you start would you start Shaff next match? And this has been the biggest split I've seen from the 5 takeaways video I put up and your guys' comments there, and then just on X. I put this question, you guys, and just right now put yes or no in the chat because I'm curious to see what you guys think, and I'll give you the 2 arguments that I've seen. The number 1 argument for him starting is the fact that he's been fantastic. I thought he was really, really positive when he came off against France. I thought he was fantastic against Argentina. And then in this match, he was a game changer. He came on, he found space, he put in quality balls, he led to the assist. And that assist wasn't easy either. The way Kyle Larin was able to hold up the ball and lay it on for Shaffelburg. Shaffelburg had 1 split second to make a decision and play that ball perfectly the way he did. That was not easy. And you got to give him huge credit for that. He made the right plays throughout that match. He was dangerous. I think he can play on the right. I think he can play on the left. I think I like him a little bit more on the left because he's a lefty and he can put in those crosses. He's just a menace. So that's the obvious argument is that Shaffelburg's been one of our best players throughout this tournament. He should start. I think the other argument that I'm not seeing a lot of for why he should start, I think it's important, is just rotation. These 3 matches are coming very quick, one after the other, and now they're going to be playing 2 matches in Kansas City and Orlando, and Orlando's expected to be about the same, for like 35 feeling 40. We need to get some type of rotation. We do, and Shaffelburg has come off the bench. I think you could maybe start him. He could go 60 instead of coming on and going for 45 or 30. The flip side of that is the biggest argument for him not to start is that he's a super sub. And the reason maybe he's so impactful is because he comes on later in the match against tired legs and he can do what he's been doing. And because he's been so successful against France, against Argentina, and of course against Peru, why would Jesse change that? So those are the 2 arguments, and I think there's fair points on both. I just think at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to the fact that I think there should be rotation. We've seen the same starting 11, basically. Richie came in, but the same starting 11 in back-to-back matches. It's tournament football, and it's in incredibly hot weather. If you have a proper like-for-like switch, and you could just put one in, one out, I say you do it. That means Liam Miller could come off the bench and be fresh. Richie Laryea could come off the bench. We saw Tajon Buchanan coming off the bench. I don't like the idea of, like, for Ismail Kone, for example, I don't think you can properly replace him. So I think it's very difficult for you not to start him. Same as Eustachio, Bombito, Cornelius as well. Kamal Miller made me very nervous in the limited time we saw him. So that was my argument. I think there should be rotation and proper rotation. I think Shaffelburg can do a job. You put him in and give another player rest because you're going to need it. And if you watch the way that Canada played against Peru, if that's Jesse's best 11, they didn't look good. They looked tired. So that'd be part of my argument. And then other than that, I don't know who else I would maybe try to squeeze in there. I'd probably put Buchanan back in to start. Probably put Richie on the bench. I don't know if I would do Kamal Miller over Cornelius. I just from that performance, I don't think so. And then you make the argument up top with one of the strikers, but I don't think Jesse's going to do that. So that was my little rant. If you guys are just joining us on the stream today after Canada's big win, drop a like on the stream. Drop a sub if you're new around here. Say hello in the chat. I'm going to try to get to as many comments as I can in this hour. Let me know where you're tuning in from today. I think last night was about just breaking through and taking the next step and winning and getting results. The game on Saturday should be better. I think it's huge to get results in a match like that. No more moral victories. This was a victory. And we didn't play good. You know, like I said, I genuinely don't think if Peru didn't pick up that red card, we would have taken 3 points. But we did. We found a way through. And we're going to take on a very difficult Chile side. And I don't really know entirely what to expect from it. I thought Argentina pretty much dominated Chile throughout that match. But they were stubborn. They were difficult to break down. And Chile had a few really good opportunities at the end of that match where they could have won. And if they would have won that match, it would have really shaken up this group. They didn't. Argentina finally capitalized, and now we're sitting in a good position where we just need a draw. They look spent after 15 minutes. I agree. I said drop a W. The only training session between now and should be tomorrow. It'll be hot on Saturday, and that can't drain ourselves. I agree. I don't know what Jesse will do, but yeah, you got to manage. The guys are, I mean, they're in match sharpness right now, so hopefully we can just, I don't know, make sure that those legs got as much as they could possibly have in them going against Chile. We'll be better against Chile because we play better against better teams. I mean, I saw that a lot from a few pundits as well, saying that Canada was more impressive against Argentina than they were against Peru, which absolutely. That game was a wild one against Argentina. Like we all said, it could be like a 5-2 scoreline. They were just awful. Like they were awful at times against Peru. And I would like to think it came down to the weather, tired legs, tired minds. But let's get into some of your guys' takeaways. Crepeau was outstanding. He absolutely was man of the match, in my opinion, in both of Canada's games so far. Tajon looks uninspired. Kone looks sloppy. Who do you think has a better chance of turning it around? I think Kone does. I think Kone does for a couple reasons. The one is that he's just going to get chances. I mentioned, I don't think you can replace Kone in the midfield. I think Kone and Eustachio basically start every match. I think because he had a little bit of rest and he was ripped off at halftime, I'm hoping, and I trust his mentality that he can just come back stronger. It wasn't a good performance. He knows that, but I back him to be able to turn it around. And I think against a Chile, we could see Kone having a better match. On top of that, I'm going to drop another W in the chat because if you guys haven't seen, Ismael Kone it looks like very, very close to be heading to Marseille. That's a huge transfer for Kone. He's really, really impressed during his time at Watford with the national team. If you just watch his performance against France, I think that would have really, really attracted a lot of teams. And Liga, I think, is going to be a great fit for him. Marseille is a big club. And you guys seem pretty excited on X. I'll just share the screen here. Watford have agreed to sell Ismael Kone to Marseille in a deal worth 15 million euros plus add-ons. Kone will be another Canadian to compete in a top 5 league. Matthew Shinetti reported that he's going to sign a 5-year contract. And the biggest thing for me, and the reason why I think this is a huge win for Kone, and I know Marseille has had a merry-go-round over the past few seasons with managers and the fans taking on the board and whatnot, but they got a stroke of genius bringing in De Zerbi. They really did. This is a manager who has proven track record being able to take players and getting them to that next level, especially in the midfield. What he's been able to do, I'm so excited to see what Marseille could look like under him, and the fact that one of our brightest talents is going to the League of Talents under a manager like that, you could only imagine it's going to be a beautiful little match made in heaven. So if you're asking me who's going to turn it around, I think it's going to be Kone because he's going to get the opportunities. I believe in that mentality. We had a nice conversation with Cloak, who dug a little bit deeper into Kone's personality and just how motivated, how much he wants to learn from his mistakes and learn from the game, and how he watches other games. And Cloak tried to get a couple words in with him, but he was too distracted and just wanted to watch the game and take it all in, one of the Euro games, and then went down and talked with Cloak. So I think Kone can turn it around, and I'm hoping after getting taken off at halftime, a little bit of extra rest, that there's a big opportunity for him to have a good match against Chile, because we're going to need him. Yeah, and Kone looked a little nervous. I mean, I think everyone was a little nervous in that Argentina match. And I would like to think it was the occasion, but I don't know what went on with that Peru match, man. He just looked out of sorts. But to be fair, a lot of players on Canada did And I'm just going to put that down to the weather. Larin is putting in work, man. He is. It's not always pretty. It is not always pretty. And I think that's what a lot of the Canadian fans are missing a little bit, including myself. Like I said, I'm very hard on Kyle Larin, and I wasn't sure how this relationship was going to go under Jesse Marsch. But I think Kyle Larin has been putting in a shift every single match so far. And he got rewarded last night. He didn't get an assist. He didn't get a goal, but that goal started because of Kyle Larin. It was excellent work from a striker, great layoff, and then let someone like Shaffelburg pull a little bit of magic, and then Jonathan David in front of goal, as you would expect, puts the ball away. Miller and Larin need to be off the starting 11. They've been uninspiring for a while now. I don't know about uninspiring. Like I just mentioned with Larin, I think he does a lot of work off the ball that maybe we don't always recognize. And I think I like Liam Miller's game. And, if I'm looking to take Liam Miller off, it's mainly because, the form Shaffelburg's in, and that I think this team needs some rotation. So let Jacob Shaffelburg go 60 minutes from the start, see how impactful he is there. And then you still have someone like Liam Miller coming off the bench who can be direct, has speed, and has the ability to create. So I'm looking for a couple like-for-like swaps, just given the legs that we've seen against Peru, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think Jesse's going to stick with close to the same starting 11s as we've been seeing. I think Buchanan can maybe find his way back in the starting 11. But I don't know, man. I'm just not expecting. I don't know. I'm not expecting Shaft to start. But I asked you guys, so we'll go through what you guys say. Would you start Shaft next match? So we've seen yes, no. I think Shaft needs to come off the bench. He's so good, but we don't know what he could offer if he starts. We don't know that. But like I said, I think Shaft deserves to start based on his performance. However, I think, because he's been so impactful from the bench, I think Jesse might have a hard time doing it. Mike says no. He's earned a start, but can he be a game changer right from the start? And that's the big question mark. For me, like I said, it comes more down to just rotation and allowing these players to get some rest. But it seems like actually more of you guys are saying no. I like the idea of the starters wearing down the opposition, with Shaffelburg coming on later to wreck house, tired legs, just can't keep up with him. Shaffelburg could have also scored. Game 2 in Florida, 2 hours later, and basically 3 hours of sun to the time change. All hands on deck, start him at least. If Miller is ineffective, bring him on at half like yesterday. I think that was perfect. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of seems like more of you guys are saying to keep Shaft on the bench. And like I said, I've seen a big split decision on it. And I don't know the right answer. Phil says, I love Shaft, but personally prefer seeing his high energy coming off the bench. I do like the dynamics and partnership of Davies and Liam Miller. I like that relationship too. And I was a little disappointed not to see them playing together. I thought they caused a lot of problems against Argentina, and I don't know. I just kind of wanted to see them back on the left-hand side against a Peru side like this. Davies, when you kind of split them up, you didn't really see it as much with that Larea-Davies partnership. It didn't seem as convincing, I guess, as the relationship with Miller and Davies did. And I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. I think Kamal Miller was decent. He didn't look out of place. I thought he looked slow a couple times. That was my big concern with him, man. There was a couple times where he whoever had it on the Peru side just took a step and they were gone by him. If he gets caught in those type of positions, he could be in trouble. Other than those couple times, he was fine with his positioning and what he was able to do. But I think you can really notice that, Derek Cornelius is our starting left-sided center back. I thought Bombito put in a great shift as well. I thought he was dominant in the air, comfortable, a voice back there. For such a young kid, he's getting linked to Lyon right now. So big match there for Bombito. What transfers do you think will happen? Well, I do think that Bombito will leave the Rapids. I do kind of hope he ends up with the Eagle Group. Gives a route to the Prem one day if he can do it with Crystal Palace. Botafogo could be a very interesting loan move in Brazil. And then, of course, Lyon, if he could break into a team like that in a top 5 league, all of a sudden, we know we got 2 more players playing in top 5 leagues, with Kone obviously getting the move to Marseille, which is fantastic. I think Liam Miller could be on the move. I don't know where he's going to go. A lot of championship level teams, high level championship level teams look to be after him. I would love to see that. I thought Liam Miller had an excellent season with Preston North End. I know he wants to play a little further up the pitch. So, you know, maybe there's a project in the championship where we get to see what Liam can do and maybe, you know, play as a winger. I'd maybe like to see Cornelius get a move. I don't know exactly where I'd be looking. He's been linked, but there seems like every day there's a new transfer rumor. I mean, Theo Baer's another player who's been linked to the Bundesliga. Rumors that maybe like Celtic and Rangers could be keeping an eye on him. I don't know, man. I think a lot could be on the move, but it was huge news for Kone. 15 mil, 5-year contract at Marseille. Very, very exciting. Worst match I've seen from Kone. It almost feels like he doesn't do well in a 2-man midfield. Well, I mean, he was excellent in it against France, and I think that opened my eyes a little bit to it. I wasn't sure, like I said, I wasn't convinced that he could maybe play in that double pivot and could get that defensive side out of his game like that. I thought against France, he was flawless, and I thought he could really prove him. Okay, never mind. Like, you know, this is a duo you could rely on. You know, is that where you're going to get the absolute best out of him? If Marsh tinkered with the system, probably not. You know, you could probably push him a little bit higher, but this is how Jesse wants to play, and there's not really another option. That's the big concern as well, is moving forward with Kone on this yellow. If he picks up a yellow and in this next match against Chile, and we're in the quarterfinals without Kone in the midfield, I think we could be in a little bit of trouble. It's tough, man. Because it was probably one of the worst matches I've seen from Kone in 45 minutes. But like I said, I trust him to be able to bounce back. I think he's good enough to do so. And I'm hoping, again, tired legs, tired minds, and we can put it behind us because we know what he can do. He just showed us against one of the world's best. But it is a couple not great performances in a row. I will give you that. I think Shaff should stay a super sub. He's dynamic when he starts. Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like that's what you guys are thinking, that Shaff should be a super sub, and I you know, I totally get it, and I'm not against it. And you know, it would probably be for Shaff to come on for Liam Miller like that again, and it's just a different take. Liam, you know, he's been playing at wing back with Preston North End. He's got that defensive side of the game. He's a great pressing midfielder to have as well. I think that's why Jesse really, really likes him. He's fought his way into the starting 11 after being on the outside for so long, looking in with John Herdman. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's tough. I think I don't know. I think I'm kind of leaning with you guys. I think I do. But I don't know. The only reason I'm not saying that Shaff isn't incredible coming off the bench, because he absolutely is. It's just I believe that there needs to be rotation, and we've seen 2 matches so far in very hot weather, and there's only one change, and that Peru match wasn't pretty. It'd be different if we watched that game, we won 1-0, and it was a really good performance. It was a really poor performance. I think we got away with it because Peru went down to 10 men, and the team looked tired. So now all of a sudden, again, in only a few days' time, Saturday we're going to take on Chile in Orlando, which is going to be hot as well. The third game, I can't imagine the legs are going to be any less tired. So that was kind of my proposal as why Shaff would be a solid option to come and start the match and then have Liam Miller come off. But they are 2 different kind of players. And, you know, later in the game with tired legs, if that's where we're going to use Shaff, I totally get it. Liam Miller can absolutely do a job. I would like to see, if Liam starts again, go back over to the left-hand side with Davies at left back. Kone, the only player moving to a top 5 league. There's a lot of rumors surrounding players that could. I'll try to list off some of the rumors right now for you guys, just to have an understanding of how many have been going around. There's some good, there's some really good sources in there as well. I've heard a couple things. I won't say too much on it, but there's definitely going to be transfers this summer. Jonathan David's being linked to Chelsea, Manchester United, Tottenham, and West Ham. I'm going to have a nice video coming out on David to Chelsea sometime in the near future. I think that could be a very interesting project for David. Kone obviously is moving to a top 5 league with Marseille. Liam Miller, there's rumors. I don't know if a Prem club would come in for him, but if not, top level championship sides have been interested in him, and good run. He could find himself in the Prem in a year's time. Bombito has been linked to Liga. Derek Cornelius has links to the Bundesliga. Jacob Shaffelburg has links to the Bundesliga as well as Belgium and the Netherlands. And Theo Baer has links to the Bundesliga as well as championship level teams in Celtic and Rangers. So a ton. I feel for Baer. He hasn't seen any minutes yet under Marsh, and I don't know if he will, man. I think, like I said, I think it's clear to me. I think Tanny's next man up. I don't know if we're gonna, and we haven't seen Jason Russell-Rowe either, so I don't know. I don't know who we're gonna see if we don't see Tanny. Maybe depends what the situation will ask for it when the time comes. If it's a Baer, Russell-Rowe coming off the bench, but for me, I just think Tanny's next man up. Ahmed instead of Buchanan. Ali Ahmed's another interesting one. I don't know if Ali's going to find minutes. Just given off for what we've seen so far, I don't know. The subs that coming off the bench were the ones you kind of expect. Kamal Miller, Jacob Shaffelburg, Jonathan Osorio, Tejan Buchanan, where that would have been Richie Leray if Buchanan started, and Tanitoluwa. So I don't know, man. I don't know if we're going to see an Ali Ahmed. I think we could see a Chouanier. And then maybe I think we could see a Russell-Rowe, but I don't know if we're going to see Ali come on. In the system, I think it would make the most sense for him to come on that right-hand side. Let's let Shaft start. He's proven he can do it over 45. Let's see if you give him 60 or 70 as a starter and let Tanny be the pace guy off the bench. And and also it's whoever Shaft starts for, even if Shaft started for Liam Miller or Tejan Buchanan, then you have one of those two players coming off the bench as well. Like, it's just because Shaft has been so impactful, you almost don't want to change it, and I totally get that because he has been a difference maker every time he's come off the bench in these last 3 matches. So I get it. Like, I totally get it. You don't want to change that, but again, just the fitness levels worry me a bit. If Crepeau has another solid performance, he's going to a top 5 league. I could see. I don't know about Crepeau, man. He has been excellent. He's been absolutely fantastic. It just, for me, I think it's something to do a little bit with his height and his age right now. So I would be surprised, honestly, if I see him move to Europe. And there's nothing wrong with him playing in Major League Soccer right now. There really isn't. It's a top-heavy league, There's very good attackers in MLS. And if the opportunity doesn't come, I'm still comfortable with him being the starter and playing in Major League Soccer. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, and there's a team somewhere that's going to go in from him, but I know that his height isn't the ideal target for European clubs. But again, who knows? We've seen short keepers before. It's also mixed with his age. I don't know. We'll have to see. But he's been incredible. He's been our best player, I think, in this tournament so far. Crepeau deserves a lot of credit, and he should be linked to some bigger teams. I brought Kamal. I thought Kamal was fine subbing in. I don't think he starts. I think he could be an option to start just because, again, if you're looking at a player who could come in and do a job, Shaffelburg could do it, Larea could do it, and I would put Kamal in there because it's just kind of a like for Cornelius. It's just, I don't know, man. I thought him coming off the bench, I thought Derek clearly looked like he was missed out there. And I don't know, just Kamal to me looked just a touch off, just in terms of pace. I thought he was beaten way too easy, and it just was noticeable at this level. But maybe I'm being hard. Maybe it was just, I don't know. You guys know the play I'm talking about. He was kind of standing still, but just that acceleration speed just was not there for him, and he got beaten pretty easily. The heat gassed many of our players. We can't be too critical given the extreme weather conditions yesterday in Kansas City. 40 degrees heat. Come on, who are we to say anything? They showed up. I agree. I'm not trying to be hard. I'm saying that the heat absolutely is a factor, which makes me believe that rotation should have been a bit of a key. You usually see it. Nagelsmann just got criticized in Germany for not making many substitutions throughout his or many changes for starting 11s throughout his the group stage so far. I think it's rare to see a very similar starting 11 for all 3 matches. You usually see a couple changes here and there, and especially with this weather, it's hard to do. That's, but I mean, we don't have the luxury in certain positions to make those kind of changes. And that's where I use Kone as a perfect example that, if he's gassed or not, I trust Kone to play alongside Eustáquio, and that's pretty much all I trust in that role. I think when you're looking at players who can swap in and you can be comfortable about, I think you could throw Kamal Miller in that argument, Richie Larea, Jacob Shaffelburg. We'll have to see. I mean, Jesse Marsch, again, and I feel for him because he's new to the job, and these are the players he trusts. It's hard to try to implement the system and kind of toss it around when you're getting guys to know, but I think the sluggish performance against Peru can maybe make him think. But yes, the heat was absolutely a factor. Absolutely. And you've heard it. You've heard it from many. I mean, and you've seen it with the assistant referee. Like, it is hot. I couldn't imagine playing at that level in that heat. I agree, Josh. Rotation is essential in this extreme heat. Liam Miller could provide the same energy as Schaff when he comes off the bench on Saturday against Chile. He could. If we're doing, he could. So could Buchanan. If the climate is an issue, I think it's an argument to put Schaff over others because he's been playing in Nashville for a couple years now. And he's kind of used to the heat. Yeah, and again, honestly, it's just rotation purposes. Keep the legs fresh. Schaff hasn't started. He's looked incredible coming off the bench. Let him go 60, 70 minutes, see what he can do, and then bring off. You got luxury now. You got Liam Miller on the bench, or you have a Tajon Buchanan on the bench, Richie Larea on the bench. We have depth in those areas. I'm not worried about the wide areas. Is Canada's depth much greater than they have previously been credited for? I think Canada's got good depth in certain areas. I think out wide, fullbacks. I mean, Atakubi's not even in the squad, unfortunately. But he's a solid left back. You have Davies who can obviously play there. You have Larea who can play there. Larea can play at right back with Johnston. You have Buchanan, Shaffelburg, Liam Miller. You have other players who haven't really got a look quite yet, like an Ali Ahmed. In the midfield, I think that's where you run into a bit of trouble, and you could argue that at the back. I think Bombito and Cornelius have really proven to be our starting center back pairing. 100%, and it's hard, I think, to put someone in. If I had to, I would maybe bring Kamal Miller in for Cornelius. I don't know if I would put Waterman in over Bombito in these matches. In the midfield, I would only go with Eustáquio and Kone. And then up front, you do have depth. You have 5 strikers on this team, and five damn good strikers. There is a level. Jonathan David, Kyle Larin. Jonathan David, I would never sit, but I would at times for rotation sit Larin for a Russell Rowe, Bear, Oluwaseyi. Like they're all good strikers. So we have the most depth we've ever had. It's just in a couple areas we're hurting, and that's the reason why Akone, who has struggled in these 2 matches, isn't the ideal time to do so, because you're then looking to bring on a Chouanier or a Piet. The obvious one for Jesse Marsch, and I give him a lot of credit for this, is I don't think I would start in this way in that 4-2-2 with Osorio along with Eustáquio. I don't think it'd work. But Jesse Marsch was very clever in the way that he did that. He switched up the shape, he created a back 3. He then put Osorio in there. I don't know how it would have been if we didn't get the red card. Like I said, I was a little skeptical around that substitution, but we went up a man, and all of a sudden it's easier to have more of the ball. You have just that little bit more time, and a creative player and a good passer like Jonathan Osorio becomes a pretty useful player. And he did a couple of good shifts on the defensive side of the ball as well, so I give him big credit for that. But it turned out to be a really good substitution. Josh, don't think too hard. You're a newlywed fella. The heat was a factor, but Peru still looked sharp. They did. Peru handled the weather better, and that's you can't say anything about it. Ochoa and others in Americas at 6 feet or so in their late 30s playing in Europe. No reason why a good shot stopper style and distribution like Crepeau can't go to Europe now. Hey, you're right. We'll have to wait and see if it happens. I was just a little skeptical on it. Not that Crepeau doesn't deserve it, man. Absolutely. I don't know where he would. I don't know. I don't know what kind of league I'd be looking at that would make sense for him. I'm seeing a couple of you guys saying like a Portuguese side. Liga could be maybe Belgium. I could see Belgium probably, but I don't know. Depends what Crepeau wants as well. But I mean, he's good. I think he's good enough to play in Europe. And I think we've known that for a while. Crepeau is an excellent keeper. He's been one of MLS's best keepers for a long time now. Selfless, a leader. Broke his leg to help his side win MLS Cup. I mean, there's not much more you want in a keeper, man. Agreed, rotation is essential, but Miller can provide the same energy. Agreed, my brother. I don't know if Portugal would entertain offers or Portland would understand offers because he just signed. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, Liga. We're seeing a few French Canadians head over to that league with Kone and potentially Bombito. Crepeau could follow suit. But all right, you think it's time to create a starting 11? Chile versus Canada as a neutral looks very entertaining. It'll be a good match. Chile made it very difficult for Argentina, man. They made it very, very difficult. And like I said, when I put out a tweet last night that said, Argentina scored, that's big for Canada. And everyone's like, why? We could have topped the group. But I mean, I was more like, and then I said it in the context of the match because Chile had a couple of really good chances where they could have took the lead. And all of a sudden, this group is wide open if Chile wins that match. But they missed a couple of their chances. And after going probably, 70, 80 minutes without a chance. And then Argentina scored their goal. So I'm like, okay, phew. That puts us in a much better position. I guess you could have argued a draw could have worked out as well. But I was a little worried there that Chile was going to find a late winner and put Canada under a lot of pressure. It's going to be difficult, man. It's going to be difficult. And especially with the weather, the legs, match number 3. We're going to see. And we also have a few yellow cards. So in the first match, it was Kone and Cornelius, the 2 players who picked up yellows. And in this match, there was only 1 yellow card, which honestly a little surprised about, but it went to Richie Larea. So those players could all be, if they pick up another yellow, could be in jeopardy of missing a potential quarterfinal match if we make it there. Let's bring up and we're going to build a lineup together, guys. So if you guys want to send in some of your starting 11s right now, we can create them. Just trying to see which one of these I like the most. I think I like this one. I don't know why. Actually, no, I don't. All right. Now, again, if I'm being honest, I can see that's just the same starting 11 once again, like as the first match. And we could maybe do that today. But throw in some names that you guys think can potentially break in. And we'll start. Now, I don't think there's any doubting the fact that Jesse Marsh will play a 4-2-2. 4-4-2 is good enough. Crepeau will be our keeper. Put in your predictions, man. I'll throw them in as I'm just kind of talking out loud. I think Johnston goes again at right back. I like the ability, when need be, to be able to move to that back 3. So like I mentioned, when Kone had to come out, Osorio came in. You then could turn it into a back 3. You had Johnson, Bombito, Cornelius. There's your back 3. You have your wing backs, Larea, Davies. A little less pressure in the midfield with Osorio playing a little higher than Eustachio, and then you have your front 3 with whoever is up there. So I don't think that there's any debate. Johnson, Bombito, Cornelius, and then I guess you gotta know where to put. Davies. I think I'd move him back to left back, especially against Chile. That's what I would do. I'll go through some of your guys' starting 11s as well, and we can maybe make some changes. That's where I don't know. I think I want to see Davies stick at left back. You're not doing anything to the two central midfielders. You have Eustachio and you have Kone. If you guys are just joining us on stream, drop a like, drop a sub, say hello, and let us know what your starting 11 would be. You can just look at mine, make changes if you want. I mean, the big questions will come, I think, in the wide areas. You can argue where you're going to play Davies. I'd put him at left back. I think we will need the coverage there. I think I liked his performance more, and I really would like him to link up with a Larin and Miller or a Jacob Shaffelburg, depending on who starts. I think you for sure start Buchanan because he didn't start last match. I don't think that's even a real debate. You're not going to not start Jonathan David. I personally don't think you're not going to start Larin. I think you're going to see Larin and David up front. This is the other one, man. It could be Shaff. I honestly think it's just going to be the same starting 11. I have question marks on whether that's the right or wrong decision, but this is kind of what I'm thinking. Same starting 11 as Argentina: Crepeau, Johnson, Bombito, Cornelius, Davies, Buchanan, Kone, Eustachio, Miller, David, and Larin. Let's see what you guys are saying. I think Canada should go back to a 4-4-2 against Chile. I think they're going to play the 4-2-2. Some of you guys are saying Crepeau, Johnson, Bombito, Davies. You got Osorio sneaking in there instead of Kone. Barca Boy says Crepeau, Johnson, Cornelius, Bombito, Davies, Miller, Eustachio, Kone, Shaffelburg instead of Buchanan. I feel like, again, just because of the legs, like if I'm assuming just because Buchanan didn't start, I would expect him to start. I feel like Larin and Miller would be the odd man out because he started both matches, but he didn't obviously finish the last one coming off at halftime. So I don't know, but that's what I'm expecting for the starting 11. Shaft's got to start against Chile, surely. Atiba needs to start. Davies left back for sure. Leave Davies at left back. That's where he's most dangerous. He looked way out of place at the World Cup, trying being all things to everyone in 3 games. Let's borrow Anthony Gordon. Shaft as a super sub. Hard to choose between Shaft, Davies, Miller partnership. I would like to see Miller and Davies get another shot down the left-hand side. I would almost rather last match to have Davies at left back, Miller at left mid, and Larrea playing over at right mid. They obviously switched things up. You know, I don't know. I thought, and we've seen Larrea and Davies have success down the left-hand side before, but that was a while ago. And I wasn't overly convinced by it. Buchanan could be having problems with Inter Milan. It's possible that Inter Milan will interfere with Buchanan's minutes if he has to play in extreme heat because his role with club will change in September. I don't think it's got anything to do with that. I just think Buchanan's been having a tough time. I don't think Inter's gonna influence. I don't think Jesse Marsh would have to deal with that. I just think that Buchanan's having a tough time. You know, he's not used to having a ton of minutes. He hasn't had a ton of minutes at Inter Milan, and we haven't really raised that concern. But that's, you know, when he moved to Inter, he barely played, man. Barely played. So maybe that's got a little bit to do with it. He doesn't look like himself. Buchanan might be limited to 30 minutes with this extreme heat. Tactics, formations are great, but hopefully Marsh has to handle the fatigue level of players. Now, that's the interesting thing, man. Because there's a few players like you just cannot afford not to play. And I'm basically looking at most of them. Crepeau is going to start. I wouldn't touch Johnson, Bombito, Cornelius, or Davies. I think Buchanan finds his way back into the starting 11 over Larrea. Although it could be Shaft. You could throw Shaft over here on the right-hand side. That way, you know, you get the Miller-Davies partnership, which I'd like to see a little bit more of. You have Shaft starting the game, and that Buchanan's one of your players who could come off. He could come on for Miller, move Shaft over. He could come on for Shaft. Eustachio and Kone, I don't think you can't not start. And up top, you're going to start David. I don't think there's a way Jesse Marsh doesn't start Larin. I don't think he'll start Tanny. I don't. You could maybe start Zorrio, switch up to a 4-2-3-1. Extra man in the midfield. But I don't know. Chile will be going at us. They need to play for a win. So Canada needs to match that intensity. They need to show a lot more than they did against Peru if they want to get something out of this. I know a draw isn't nice, but I mean, it takes one loss and we're out of this tournament. Yeah, that's probably. But I'm kind of expecting, like a lot of you guys are saying, Shaff will be the super sub, and I'm expecting the same starting 11. I am. And if you're going to push me on it, I could see Shaff maybe starting for Miller or Buchanan. Take your pick. Probably Miller just because, like I said, Buchanan didn't start the last match. So that is what I'd be looking for. Super sub, Shaff. Tajon almost looked annoyed when he was subbed in. I don't know if he looked annoyed when he was subbed in. Might have been annoyed he didn't start. I'm worried about Davies. Focus on the field. Seems a little lethargic and worried on the ball. I wonder if I thought I thought Davies looked comfortable once he moved back. I mean, he was kind of playing as a left wing back at the end, but if you watch the game, like, and there's that play late in it, you know, he had a couple, like, there was some tired Peruvian legs, but he just shows what kind of fitness that Davies is in. The way that I was on the left-hand side, deep in Canada's half. He took the ball and he just, a couple dribbles, a couple quick movements, and all of a sudden he just broke into speed and there's nobody around him. I thought Davies was fine. I thought he played better once he switched to left wing back and Richie was moved over. I don't think that duo worked very well, which is why I wanted to see Liam Miller in it. But I think he's focused, and I think that he's ready to put in a big performance once again. Shaffelburg should be in the starting 11. Do you expect Canada to play for the win or the draw? I think it would be a mistake to play for the draw. I hope Canada can match Chile's intensity. I think it would be a dangerous game to play for the draw. But I don't know. If a draw isn't good enough, if Peru beats Argentina. That is true. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I see that. Hey Josh, if Kone was a 10 during the France game, what was he last night? He wasn't a 10 during the France game. He played in the same role as he did. He's playing in a double pivot, basically. He had license to go forward, or at least the way that the game was going against France, he had a little bit more license to go forward. And we saw that, but he played in the same system. It was a 4-2-2. He played with Eustachio in that 2-man double pivot with David and Larin in front of them. But yeah, I mean, if Peru beat Argentina, it could change things. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I would bank on that. What about Kamal Miller? Kamal should be ready for some more minutes on Saturday. Like I said, when I'm looking at players that I trust to go in, I had Kamal Miller as one of those players. If Cornelius needs a break, you know, they took him off at halftime. They threw Kamal in. Or they took him off in this. Yeah, they took him off at halftime. They had the triple substitution at halftime with Cornelius, Kone, and Miller. I think he can do it. Like I said, I had some question marks around Kamal Miller, just given that he just looked a little bit off the pace. But we've seen him have good performances. Love to see Ali in over Buchanan. But yeah, I didn't see anything on. I'm not gonna touch on that, guys. I didn't mean to put that comment up. I haven't heard anything about Davies' mom, so I'm not gonna talk or speculate on that. But I haven't seen anything on that. Kone is playing more of an 8 where he comes back and can go forward. If you want to speak in numbers, Jonathan David is coming back as a false 10. Yeah, I mean, he's playing in the double pivot, but he's got license to go forward. But he's supposed to, like, the way that this setup is supposed to work, it's a double pivot alongside Eustachio. I'd say Eustachio tends to play deeper, but we can see Eustachio go on driving runs, and when he does that, Kone drops back, and vice versa. When Kone goes forward, Eustachio knows that he has to cover. But in the France match, we saw that quite a bit. We saw some really good things on the defensive side of things from Kone, but Canada had a little bit more of the ball in that France match, and you got to see some driving runs. And it just seemed like every time Kone touched the ball in that France game, he was surrounded by players. He was smart with his touches. Every time he had a driving run, he made the right call, and possession was about 50-50 in that match. So we saw a little bit more of it, but in the last couple of games, he's kind of struggled. Do you think the 4-2-3-1 formation is good for Canada? I don't know. I haven't really seen it yet. I think it would be the same type of thing. It'd be Eustachio and Kone in that double pivot. You'd have Miller and Buchanan out wide. You'd probably have to take out Larin for Osorio, and then David would be your 10. I guess you could try to play David as a 10 as an option. I mean, he can do it. But I think to really play the position, the 4-2-3-1, I think Zorrio would be your 10, and up top would be David. I'm still upset about the non-red card against Belgium in the World Cup. Yeah, I haven't quite got over it either. But this win against Peru absolutely helped. Puts Christine Sinclair up top. Sure, Peru could beat Argentina if the rest are players, but it's a lower probability event, so Canada preparing to counter-strike Chile while defending that draw is the best strategy to pursue. Yeah, I don't think they should play for the draw, though. Like I said, I would like Canada to back themselves, look to win this match, try to win this match, go to toe for toe, match their intensity, and put up a better performance than what we saw against Peru. That's what I'm hoping for. I think if they sit back and they just feel like they need to defend this whole time in this heat, they're going to be in for a lot of trouble. I think the context of the match now, knowing that they just need a draw, could change the way this game goes. Chile had a lot of the ball against Peru, and I just don't know if that strategy is going to work. I don't know, though, if playing Jesse's pressing style is also going to be a great idea in these high-intensity kind of performances in this heat. So I'm really curious to see what he does. But I do expect Chile to probably have a decent chunk of the ball. Zorrio had a great game defensively for Canada. He really stepped up last night and showed a level of aggression I haven't seen in a few years. And I go to every home game for TFC. I know Osorio. I agree. I was really impressed. I was really, really impressed with him coming in. And there's a couple times he had important interceptions to win the ball back. I thought he was clever with the way he went forward. I think he knew his responsibility on the back end. I had no problem with it. I thought it was a really, really clever decision from Jesse Marsch to try to find a way to get him in. I would have went with a Chouanier at the time because it was 11v11, and I just trust Chouanier a little bit more on the defensive side of things, a little bit more like for a Kone. But because of the red card, that substitution worked out really, really well. The back three, covered that protection. Osorio did put in a good shift on the defensive side of things, and he's a better player going forward with a little bit more of the ball. So Osorio was absolutely, he impressed me. CanMNT just does not have the pace against top competition. We need to develop young players with the ability to play against the best. We must accept the fact that Bombito will make mistakes. I thought Bombito had a really strong performance, though. Like you said, he's raw, man. He's a raw young talent. He's not been a professional for very long. He's already being linked to a top 5 league with a club like Lyon. I think it would be huge to have a young Canadian defender in a top 5 league. I'd love to see Cornelius somehow. If he moved to the Bundesliga, there were some rumors there. I don't know how serious those are. I don't really see him moving to the Bundesliga, but all of a sudden, if we have a player playing in Liga and a player playing in the Bundesliga, this back line looks just very different with the amount of competition those guys would get playing in that league and the way that they would develop. But yeah, I thought CanMNT looked a little off the pace. Not in terms of his decision making or anything like that, just simply pace. Like, he looked slow. He looked slow to me. And there's a couple times where Peru was just nipped the ball by him, and it looked too easy. I want 2 wins for Canada. In my opinion, the best way to unlock Kone and to win against Chile is with a 3-man midfield. I mean, I guess you could, like I said, if you're going to do a 3-man midfield, if you want to put Kone higher up, you would need like a Chouanier in there. So you would go kind of like Eustachio, and then a little further up would be Chouanier, and then a little higher than that would be Kone in that 3-man midfield. Osorio would play higher than Kone, so it means Kone could drop back a little bit, but it might free him up a little bit. But I agree, probably that's the best way to get the best out of Kone, but it doesn't mean that's going to get the best out of the other players on this team, and doesn't mean they could, I don't know, implement what Jesse wants to do. And because he's so new, like I keep saying, I think that he just wants his guys to understand his system, his shape. We did see we did see him switch things up, but it wasn't a 3-man midfield still. It was a 3-4-3. And that kind of also goes down to trust. And I don't think Jesse in these games, neither do I, trust like a Piet, who's a 6 to come on. I would trust Chouanier, I guess, a little bit more than he would. It seems like Jesse's faith in the midfield would go to an Osorio. But I mean, I don't think you can start an Osorio in a 2-man midfield. You can start him in a 3. So if he comes in for Larin, there you go. But I just think of the few games we've seen with this Canada side under Jesse Marsch, we're kind of learning the players that he trusts. And I just don't know if like Ali Ahmed, Chouanier, and Piet fall into that category quite yet. Zorrio was a big surprise for me. He played well yesterday. I thought he showed incredible competitiveness and willingness to defend. I was impressed. I was as well. What is your prediction? Get these in, guys. Give me your guys' match predictions against Chile. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. Canada, unless there's a big upset with Peru, but let's just put that aside. If Canada gets a draw, they move on to the quarterfinals. If they get a win, they obviously move on as well. So let me know. Give me your guys' score predictions right now. I don't know, man. The Peru performance didn't fill me with confidence. And if we approach the game and try to defend, I think Chile are going to break us down. I want us to see, like I said, match the intensity, play the game to win the game, and see what happens from there. And hopefully the legs on the guys will last, because they looked absolutely exhausted. Chile looked pretty good last night. I think they did too. Now, remember, they played, the weather, 5 p.m. kickoff in Kansas City is different than the later kickoff, I believe, unless they played. I don't even remember where they played. They might have played on the West Coast. They might have been. Let's find out where they played. I didn't think it was as hot, though. Where did Chile play? Anybody know where that match was last night? I'm curious on that. I'm assuming it's in the West Coast because it was late. So it would have been a 6 p.m. kickoff. But I don't know where it was. Oh, is that MetLife? So no, MetLife. So no, that would have been a 9, right? That's a 9. It was in New Jersey, yeah. So yeah, it was definitely not near the temperature. Not near the temperature. If MetLife is Eastern time, so it would have been a 9 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, so. Anyways, if Chile was playing Argentina in 40-degree weather, I think that the match would have been a little bit different as well. Daniel said, just tuned in. I'm so sorry if you already talked about this, but Buchanan seems to be struggling tremendously. Yeah, I mean, I think he's had a couple. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this. I mean, obviously a worry with our Canadian players getting big moves is will they get playing time? And Tajon Buchanan moving to Inter Milan was amazing, and I want him there. You want your big players playing at big clubs. But the way he came in this title race, he did not get a lot of minutes. So I don't know if this has to do with that match fitness. You could always argue, well, he's training against better competition. He's this, he's that. He's playing with better players. Like, I get that, but it's just not the same as playing matches. Like, it's not. So maybe that has something to do with it, because yeah, he has had this is 4 matches now under Jesse Marsch, and I don't think Buchanan has impressed much at all. I think Shaffelburg has been our best winger coming off the bench the way he is against tired legs throughout the matches. He's been excellent. I don't know what it is. That's one thing that comes to mind, is just that he's not match sharp, and not playing a ton might have had something to do with it. But I asked you guys some predictions. We got a 2-1 for Chile, 1-1, 0-0, 2-1 Canada, Gord's confident. 2-1, a late winner by a defender. 8-0 Canada. I suck at this. I don't know about that scoreline. We need to try to win, not to draw. I echo that 100%. All they were doing was defending, though. They were, but they had a ton of the ball against Peru. And that's what I mean. Just the context of the match. All Canada needs is a draw. So if they go in with that mindset where we just need to defend for 90 minutes, I think they're going to be in trouble. We're not Argentina. We're not going to have the amount of chances in possession that they did against Chile. But Chile took the match, or tried to take the match to Peru. They had a ton of the ball, and it was an ugly, ugly match. You know, we found a way to win, but I think the red card really helped us there. I'm really nervous for this match against Chile. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what the fitness levels will be at. And if it's anything like that Peru match, I think we're going to be in trouble. And especially if we just decide to sit back. I don't know if we can defend like that for 90 minutes. 2-1 Chile. I want us to win, but I'm worried about the fitness. And yeah, Orlando is humid. Who do we want in Group B? I think we need to get out of the group first, but I will entertain the question because the Group B is a group of life, man. I don't know. I'd probably just, not that I'd rather play them because I think that they're worse, but we haven't played them. You know, we get the chance to play Mexico. We have a friendly coming up against Mexico. I just think for entertainment purposes, I'd rather play a nation we don't see every day. So I'd rather match up with Venezuela. But let me know who you... Well, no. Let's get out of the group first. Let's get out of the group. Don't want to jinx anything. Give me Venezuela over Mexico. Yeah, I just to change things up, man. We're in Copa America. Let me take on some nations we don't see and aren't playing in a friendly in a couple months. 2-0 Chile, 0-0. Chile have 5 yellows. Canada can exploit that. Venezuela for sure. Yeah, Canada's got 3 yellows. 2 very important players, though. I would not that Richie's not an important player, but I would hate to lose Kone or Cornelius for a quarterfinal matchup. It's tough, but I think you have to play him like he said. There's no point of resting them or trying to avoid picking up a second yellow and then just not even making it out of the group stage. Kone, Cornelius have to start. I know they're on yellows. It is what it is. You got to roll the dice, and I'd rather get the result and make it to the quarterfinals than try to plan for it and not. So, yeah. We suck. We poor in attack. Chile, def beating us. Gareca is a great manager. His tactics against Canada worry me as well. Yeah, like I said, I'm not thrilled. Like I'm not filled with confidence right now, man. I'm not. I think it's gonna be ugly. I think it's gonna be cagey, and we're gonna have to wait and see. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, get a few more comments in. Bench Kyle for goodness sake and get an extra midfielder. I don't think Jesse's gonna do that. I really don't. I think, like I said, I think I've been hard on Kyle Larin, and I love his work ethic. I love the way that that goal started with him doing what the dirty work a striker needs to do. It's not always pretty. It's not always fun to watch. I have been hard on him. I don't know if things will change a little bit. Mexico isn't that scary, but I'm expecting Kyle Larin to start. I want Mexico because it will suit our style. Yeah, like I said, I didn't pick Venezuela because I think that they're better or worse than Mexico. Like I said, I like the opportunities to play new nations, and I think they're both close. I think it could go either way. I think it'd be more enjoyable to me to take on someone in the quarterfinals who we don't see every day. Who cares who's in front of us? Exactly. We'll be who's ever in front of us. Canadians play in summer heat. Chileans play in the winter weather advantage. Canada. Yeah, I don't know, man. Why hasn't Theo Bear gotten a look yet? I don't think he's one of Jesse's main guys right now. I think when looking off the bench, I think the obvious choice for Jesse right now is Tanny. That's just it. I think he's proven that that's who he trusts and that's who he's going to go with. And I think the substitutions we saw kind of indicate who those kind of players are. Your CanMNT in your back line. I mean, Buchanan or Larea, depending who starts. Tanny, Osorio, like those kind of guys. Shaffelburg, of course, being the main one. But all right, guys, we're going to wrap up the stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. On your way out, be sure to drop a like on the stream. Drop a sub if you're new around here. We have the Chile preview that I believe will probably go out tomorrow. I got a David episode coming up as well. And the 5 takeaways for the Chile match will be coming up. And then obviously more content will follow if we can make it to the quarterfinals. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. It's been so much fun covering the national team, especially in big moments like this. We still have some history, hopefully, to make, and I'm expecting a fight against Chile, hopefully one that we win. Before we get going here, we will get a final word from the channel sponsor, BetStamp. If you guys are looking to place any bets throughout Copa America or the Euros, go to the Trivago of sports betting. Exciting news for the channel. I'm thrilled to announce that JJD TV is partnering up with BetStamp and SignUpExpert. This opens up an incredible opportunity for you to join up with some of my favorite sports books to get the best odds and user offers throughout Copa America. Head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/JJDTV to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with unique offerings. If you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level throughout this tournament and want to show some love for the channel, I highly recommend you signing up for your next sports book through my SignUpExpert link. You can easily find it in the description of this video. All right, thanks for the word, Josh. All right, thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you guys soon. Drop a like, drop a sub. Cheers, friends.